Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our ION Features webinar. Thank you guys for joining us. We have a couple providers with us here today. I'm going to just hang on for a couple minutes in case anybody else wants to join. I'm just going to leave the screen up so you know today we're going to be going over the export tab. So if you guys can just hang on for maybe we'll wait about 2 more minutes, see if anybody jumps in. Also, just to let anyone know, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We have our operations director, Maddie Bergoglio, here with us, and she can answer any questions you have. She's also going to put our contact information in the chat. So if you want to reach out to us, aside from this webinar, you're welcome to do that as well. All right, well, we're already about 3 minutes past 10 and I value all of your time, so I'll go ahead and get started. So today's our feature webinar that I'm not sure if many of our providers know about is the export tab that is here on your dash. Well, it's on the screen. I'll show you in just a second. So when you go to our site, you go in and you log in here, insideoutnetwork.net. And then when you get to the dashboard, you'll see that you have the 2 tabs here, the My Returning Citizens profile, and you have the new and upcoming releases that you should be familiar with. Both of these lists you can export. So once you click on the tab, we have the new and upcoming releases. Here is where you can export it down into an Excel file. And so when you click that little button, it could take a little bit of time, just to warn you guys, if you have a ton of returning citizens, it's going to load all that into an Excel sheet for you. And it's going to look like this, which is, it looks like a whole lot, but there's so much data in there that I think is so valuable that I really want to show you what you can do with. So I cleaned this up a little bit. That way we can kind of see what we're looking at. So these are the labels for the columns. And as you can see, I've also added a little legend here to kind of show you what some of these are. Some of these names are, the titles are self-explanatory, first and last name of the returning citizen. You get their phone number. We have 3 phone number columns for our clients' contact information because, when the returning citizens are coming out, sometimes I don't necessarily know whose phone number they're going to have. They might have their mom's or their significant others. So we give them the option to list 3 different phone numbers here, here, and here. That way you can easily contact them. If they're not answering one phone number, you can go to the next. And then we have our email column. You can use for individual or group emailing. You can use apps like MailMerge. It's really simple. You copy and paste all of these into a little app, a little add-on, and you can send out whatever information you want to send out to your clients. If you had an upcoming, resume writing workshop, or, you wanted to just get in touch with one individual client, you can easily access their contact information all in your exported sheet. Additionally, you have their address, city, zip for geographical mapping of your clients. So you get matched to clients that are within 100 miles of your area. So as you can see, some of them are not necessarily in the same city. So, when you use Excel, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with GIS mapping. So that data is here as well. The next thing we have is DOB, date of birth. We have their gender, their release date. PID is their prison ID. And then we have parole, yes or no, if they'll be on parole when they're released. Their highest level of education. The VF and SF are for if the returning citizen had been convicted of a violent offense or a sexual offense. When the returning citizens register, we give them the option. They don't have to answer that question, but we do know for many service providers, you have restrictions. And so this way you can easily sort, if you don't take sex offenses, you can sort them by column and easily see which clients you can reach out to and which might not be a good match. And then here is something that I think is pretty great. It's the description box. And this is what it says. Is there anything that you'd like service providers to know about you? For example, work history, special circumstances, health issues, special skills, military service, etc. So in this description box, this is what the returning citizens, they take their time, they write it out, we put it in there when we register them. This is what they felt they really wanted to share with service providers. And as you can see, I'll show you a little bit more about that in the next slide. And then we have the categories column. And On this, you can see not only, when you get matched to a returning citizen, they checked one of the 9 categories that matches your service as a service provider. You additionally also see the other categories that they need as well. So you can see if you, provide education, you can also see, hey, this returning citizen also was looking for employment. And when you expand that tab, you'll see, all the different categories that that specific returning citizen said that they needed help with. And then here's the little match. When you go to the original, when you go to the tab on our site, there's a little button you can click if it's a match or not, and it'll show up as yes or no when you download the sheet. Go ahead and click that. And then here you have any notes that you may want to put in. So additionally, what you can do is the description that I was just speaking about. So here, you can use the control F5. You can use the find command to sort out any keywords to easily identify specific populations. So if your organization only worked, with veterans or those who, had SMI, you could do a find and look for that and find it easily within the spreadsheet. So I know you're probably thinking, what else can I do with this? There's so much data there. There's so much information from your clients. Data analysis, everybody's favorite thing. So I'll go to the next slide. You can analyze data to discover trends in demographics like gender ratios, age averages, RC release locations, and resource needs in your area. So like, you click the little button in Excel, they've got their own little analyze data. You can add additional add-ins. There's Tableau. There's so many cool data analyzing apps out there that you could use this Excel sheet and just export it in there and have them do all the hard work for you. This was an example, here you can see in Tucson, it's the one that appears most often in this data set. Another example is you can use Excel formulas to discover data like the greatest resource need by category in your area. So this was some data stats that I pulled from last year. This was our total. We're over 5,000 returning citizens now, actually. We're way over that. But you can see that for all our returning citizens, I pulled the data and you can see the main things that all of them needed were employment and job training. So you can do the same thing with your data. You can pull it and you can see what is the greatest need out of all these returning citizens coming into my area. Another example would be you could calculate the average number of categories. So the returning citizens, they choose, they have their own autonomy of what they think they need help with. So they can pick 1, they can pick, 2, they can pick as many categories as they like. So you get a data set of, out of all your returning citizens, the majority of them seem to pick out, 3 or 4 categories. That's what they feel they need help with. Also, I know I'm rambling, so feel free to just jump in if you have any questions as I go along. You can just shout them out or put them in the chat. Another example would be to analyze category need by gender. So I went through and I separated the males, I separated the females, so you could see, was there any difference? But here, they both had the same thing, that the majority of them needed employment and job training and healthcare. Sometimes it can change by age cohort, and you'll see that in just a second. If you want to get really crazy and break down all your demographics of all your clients, I did a cohort. So I broke them down by category need and by gender age. So you can see here out of the total males, what they were picking, what was the greatest need. Males 18 to 29, males 29 to 30. I could have kept going because we definitely do have returning citizens that are older than that. And then I also broke it down by females, and you can see by each age cohort, what are the specific needs? And just something that I would like to point out is when I noticed when I was doing these stats, the older generation, they're not necessarily looking for the same things as those who are in the ages from 20 to 30. Some medical might be more of a priority as opposed to in your 20s, you're looking for a job. So this kind of data, I think, is just so useful and helpful. And I would love for our providers to, pull it, use it, and see how it can help them. So kind of just to recap, these are the things I just went over. You can discover your RC's data, you can sort it, you can find out what the greatest need is. I think the main thing is you can target your client's needs. You can see what resources are still needed in your community, in your area where these returning citizens are coming out to. And I think a really big piece for, all of us little nonprofits is data supports evidence and evidence can help support funding. So you can use the data that you get from our clients to support the need for any programs you may need. You know, if you're noticing that shelter and housing is something that people are really needing, maybe your nonprofit, you know, wants to start a program to kind of connect returning citizens with that. Um, so this is just kind of a quick overview of, you know, we've got so much cool data, we're getting so much information. There are needs out there, and we just want to share it with service providers so you can see what, you know, the reentry community and environment is looking like for our returning citizens. And yeah, that's about it. I feel I covered pretty much the gist of what I really wanted to share with anyone. Are there any questions? Oh, also, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see the screen. If you wanted to contact us, our contact information is there. I'm not sure if you can see the very bottom of the screen, but you do see our email and you do have our website there. And I know Maddie put our information into the chat. So I'm kind of a little bit of a data nerd. So if you want help, you know, kind of getting this information, if you want any of the formulas that I use to pull that data, I'd be happy to share it. You're welcome to email me, email us, and we're happy to share any of the information we have with you. Okay, Oregon. Actually, Maddie, can you answer that? We have a question in the chat, and Maddie is she's our operations director, so she knows better than me.
Yes. Yes, if I understand your question correctly, I think you're asking about like where are we in Oregon in regard to enrolling returning citizens. So we are, yes, thank you. That's a good question. We're actually getting really close. We're excited. So I think, as you may know, we needed 70 in order to fully launch, but we have now hit about 60. So we are beginning our pilot phase with DOC. So we are going to be starting at two of their facilities, Deer Ridge and Warner Creek. And we're going to start in the workforce rooms. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but inside of the facilities where people can register themselves and begin connecting. So we are in our pilot launch phase right now to get that going. So yeah, and then in the meantime, we'll continue, you know, to add providers to get to that 70 before we go statewide. And then from there, we will be enrolling individuals statewide. But in the meantime, we are progressing with the Department of Corrections to get kind of the registration materials and all that together. I actually meet with their staff again tomorrow to kind of get an update on that. So yeah, once we have an official update about when we will be going live, we will be sure to let our providers in Oregon know. But thank you for your patience as we kind of get all this going. We appreciate your support in these early stages. It takes some time, we know, but it ends up being worth it. So just thank you for partnering with us. And yeah, kind of keep an eye out for an email though, because we will send details. Thank you. I appreciate all your comments. Hopefully that helped. Does anyone else have any questions?
Thank you so much, Maddie, for answering that. Yeah, we are so excited. It is always exciting to launch in a new state and grow it and see what we can do. And please, we encourage you, if you have any other questions, if you'd like to see where we're at in our progress, you're welcome to email us as well. For, you know, just ask us, hey, where are you at in the progress? How are things going? We are definitely excited and motivated to, you know, help facilitate this in any way possible. So if no one has any other questions, I think I will go ahead and end it out. Thank you all so much for taking time to be with us today. We will have a recording of this. We'll send it out. We'll have it on our YouTube. So you can come back and check this if there's anything you want to recap. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.